maintain it. All right, Neil. Appreciate it.
You're good, buddy.
Thank you.
Take care of that stuff and get her done.
Will do.
All right. Thanks, bud. See you. Bye.
All right, take care.
Yeah, bye.
Will do.
All right. Thanks, bud. See you.
It's the thuggish ruggish bone. It's the thuggish ruggish bone. All right, y'all. Let's get into this video. Really quick. I'm gonna try to give you guys a quick analysis. Well, it don't really have to be quick because I don't think I'm going to be able to find a trade here soon. We had the 8:30 news event. I think it was PPI, right, babe? Was it PPI or CPI? Okay, so we had the PPI. So we had this big gap on the 1 minute time frame. This big gap, I got it marked out. The midpoint of it is right here, where the price is currently touching up at. And now we're starting to appear to have some bullish momentum. And here's why I believe we have the bullish momentum, right? If you go to the hourly time frame, maybe this is a 2 hour gap. I honestly don't know where this gap is from, but there's many gaps you can choose from, right? But you guys can see we came down here, dropped into this gap. We swept this liquidity that I had on my chart from yesterday, right? We had relative equal lows from yesterday. I'll go to the hourly chart to show you guys. Right, so we had these relative equal lows right up in here, which was also the daily low. We came down, we swept that, we dropped into a fair value gap. I was hoping that we was going to touch this 1 hour order block in here. Maybe we still can, I really don't know. But so far it's not looking like it will, at least not today, right? So as we drop back into the 1 minute time frame, you guys can see we swept liquidity. We didn't get an immediate bounce. We had to create some structure up in here. Zoom in a little bit. You guys can see we had a little order block on a 1 minute time frame. We came up in here, sold off a little bit, broke above, and then we left a breakaway gap right here. Now, I wasn't looking at the market at this time, but if I would have seen this, this would have been a trade for me to go up and at least take out this liquidity, right? So that trade would have looked something like this. You know, let's say we don't get a perfect entry, it would have looked something like that, right? That's a 1-on-1. If I did target the midpoint, what is going on? If I did target the midpoint or the liquidity that I think we're going to go up and hit, that would have been almost a 4-to-1. And then we also could possibly want to go all the way back up here because, as you guys can see on the 15-minute time frame, we did leave some gaps open, right? So we left some gaps open on these 15-minute time frames. So if we don't break above all of this, I still think we could be bearish, but the way price is looking, I think that we're going to obviously be bullish today. So if I could have targeted something like that, that would have been almost a 6-to-1. I don't think I would have held it anyway, so it really don't matter. Just giving y'all a hypothetical trade idea. But what I am looking for is Right, we already touched into this 15-minute order block right here twice. Touched it once, touched it twice, came down, sold off. So what I'm looking for is, if this holds, I do think we're going to continue to drop down lower into that 1 hour order block that I showed you guys. Let me show you guys on a 1 hour. Right, this big order block right here. If all and also on a 1 hour, right? What do you guys see? Right, you guys can see that there's an order block right here. These 3 candles, all 3 of these candles make one order block. Right, I'll try to zoom in so y'all can see what I'm talking about. All 3 of these candles make one order block. So price just almost tapped into that right there. So I will be putting some liquidity right there. All right, I'm going to put a pink line on this swing high because that's going to be a point of interest to watch. And notice how this 1 hour gap right here is not technically, well, I don't want to give y'all the wrong information, right? When I think of a breakaway gap and look at how now we just swept that liquidity just fast, bumping into this 1 hour order block right here. But essentially all I'm trying to say is if we, and then also I'm going to put a pink line right here because these are relative equal highs right here. But if we don't take these highs out today, which is very possible, then I do think it's going to save that obviously for a later time. But what I'm trying to get you guys to notice right here is that we had this 1 hour fair value gap, and then we tapped into it just a little bit, and then had a really aggressive sell-off, right? So that is leading me to believe that maybe we want to come down here and touch this 1 hour order block. But the only reason why I'm thinking that it may not want to do that is because typically what you will want to see on a day like today when you're using the 830 gap is you will want to see it just maybe hit the bottom of the gap or maybe just the midpoint of that gap and then sell off. You don't really want to see it go all the way deeper and deeper into that gap because that's going to show you that, hey, this isn't as bearish as you may have thought it was, right, during that 8:30 news event. So obviously I got a first presented fair value gap from yesterday. I got the evening session first presented fair value gap from yesterday. Also inside of this what is it? This order block, right? So I'm going to be watching that to see if we want to touch in here and then come all the way back down to sweep out the liquidity that we made down here. All right, let me move my pink line, update my liquidity, and then tap into this order block, right? So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Personally, I am a little bit late opening up the charts. I haven't even identified my first presented fair value gap just yet. So let's go in there and identify our first presented fair value gap, which will be literally right here. So I'm going to move this box because I no longer need that little 1 minute order block. And I'm going to, let's make this sky blue or something so we can know. All right, so I'm going to label this first presented fair value gap so we can be aware of this. Okay, label that. And this is going to be very important. You guys know, or maybe you don't know if you're new to this channel, but maybe you haven't seen any of my previous videos, but I don't always use the first presented fair value gap for an entry. I mostly use it to just read price. But this is going to be very important because we have a breakaway gap down here that was left open, which is what? Identifying very bullish price momentum, which is what we have already just seen. So do I think it's going to continue to be bullish? I don't know, right? I like to wait for liquidity to be ran and then a brand new breakaway gap to be created for me to continue to trust it, right? So this gap right here, I wouldn't really consider it a breakaway gap. It's just the first presented fair value gap. You guys can see we touched the top of that and then we're taking off. So this is also another indicator that price may want to be bullish, right? But we really can't tell until we see how we react off of this first presented fair value gap from yesterday's evening session, right? So I think we're going to have to wait for some type of market structure and see how price want to bounce around in here so that we can figure out what liquidity we're going to take. And then I also want to go, let me check the 30-minute time frame real fast. Because as you guys see on other time frames, like the 30-minute time frame, this gap is completely left open. So if we fail to sweep any of this liquidity up here, I'm going to be very bearish on today's price action, right? Same thing with the 45-minute chart. This gap was completely left open. So that's what I'm going to be looking at, you guys, to see if we're tracing in here just to continue to go down for the rest of the day. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. And then I'm going to always be looking to update my levels of liquidity. So like when we swept that, I'm going to now move that up here. And then there's lower levels of liquidity like this low right here, right? These are all going to be potential targets if we want to come back to the downside. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Make sure y'all drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Cytosine said was late on my NQ, so I entered longs on ES. That's what's up, bro. That's what I don't trade like that, but I hope you're winning. I mean, I'm pretty sure you should be winning. You should be up on that trade. Are you doing a prop firm challenge? Are you just trading your live account? What are you trading right now, if you don't mind me knowing? You know, I'm always interested to know what people are doing out here these days. So shout out to you, man. I want to see everybody be successful. So but yeah. So that's what we're doing now. We're just hanging out to get a little bit more information, because right now I don't really have enough information to really get me inside of a trade. You know, we haven't even got past the first 30 minutes of the market open. So I'm just hanging out. You know, I got about $1,000 left to make on my phase one, and then I'll be done with my phase one. He said, trying to pass this evaluation on Top Step. This play will pass me. Amen to that, man. Amen, bro. You got this, man. You got this, man. Just don't forget to take profits, bro. You know, you don't got to always hold until TP. Sometimes locking in those profits is always an amazing thing. So, what's up, Melissa Naomi in the chat? Nice to see you, Melissa. Yeah, I got funded with Top Step one time, and then when I got funded, they gave me half of the micros. At first, I enjoyed it, but I felt like it was kind of scammy because I'm like, you know, I should have read it. Honestly, it was my fault for not really reading about that. But I didn't really enjoy that in the long run. I ended up not getting the payout, ended up blowing my funded account. But it was one of the easiest challenges I ever did. Like, I think I passed that account in like 3 days. So it was nice to pass it that fast, but to not get a payout kind of sucked. Because at that time I was limited to like 5 micros. And then they dropped it down to 2 micros when I got funded, which is, you know, with the skills I have now, 2 micros is all I really need. But at that time, you know, I was kind of using a somewhat different strategy. And, you know, it would have been nice to just have those 5 micros. But ultimately, what really happened was I got funded, and I wanted a payout so bad. I started trading during London session. I started like veering off from my strategy and my plan, and before you know it, I just blew the account. So that's what happened with that. Got to take some accountability. So yeah, let's see what's going to happen. It looks like we touching the top of this first presented from today, and we're just powering on through. So like I said, one of the top things that I'm going to be waiting for today to give me more information. We have relative equal highs up here. That's looking like it's going to be targeted for liquidity on the 30-minute time frame. You can see it really well. If we swipe this liquidity and don't really keep going up, then for a fact I'm going to be looking for the market to come back down and hit into this order block right here. It looks a lot better on a 1-hour time frame, right? So, but I don't, based on everything that happened, it don't really look like the market is going to just keep going down today. It looked like we're going up and up and up. So, this daily high could definitely be the target. Bare minimum, this first presented fair value gap is looking like it's going to be the target as long as we continue to go up and up and up, right? Let me just make sure I check the weekly time frame real fast. Make sure I'm not missing nothing on the weekly. Make sure I'm not missing anything on a daily, because I was rushing today to pull over. So yeah, this daily right here, I was definitely missing a little bit something on a daily. I got to measure out this wick. So the midpoint of this wick right here on a daily time frame is right here in this orange box. I forgot what this orange box was. This is why you always have to label things, because I always forget what a box is on my chart if it's not labeled. So I'm going to lock this up real fast just in case we decide to go up here and test the midpoint of this daily wick. Let me check the 4-hour. Yeah. Just toggling through some of these time frames real fast so I can get some live data. But yeah, it for sure is looking. If it don't take this liquidity, I would be shocked. So price is moving very fast today. I still haven't pushed the button. But I might be pushing a button soon because we do have some breakaway gaps right here. We do have some breakaway gaps in here, but we're going to have to see what happens with these breakaway gaps. Just trying to be very patient and make sure I'm not being faked out on anything, because when the market is moving this much, it's so easy to get faked out. So I don't know what this yellow box was on my chart, but it had to be something because price is rejecting off of this. And just that fast, it took away all of these potential breakaway gaps that I was looking for. And just like I said, you can get faked out so fast in these type of markets. You really want to be patient. So we came literally right below this liquidity, sold off. I don't really like how we did that. We did sweep this little pink line right here, but I'm not really in love with that right now. I don't really like how that happened. So let me check the 5 minute just so I can make sure I'm not missing anything. On the 5 minute, this little gap right here can be considered a breakaway gap, but we're just gonna have to really wait and see. On this pullback could be a potential buy, but we really have to just wait and be patient today. Today is the day of patience. If you don't have patience on this day, you're going to get chopped up, and faked out from left to right and right to left. So really have to have some patience today. We did sweep a level of liquidity, and then we had a small little pullback with a breakaway gap in here. So I don't really like that if we're looking for the market to continue to go up. Melissa said, got faked out on a sale already. Yep. I mean, that's, hopefully you manage your risk properly. But, if you manage your risk properly, it's okay to get faked out. But, yeah, that's what's typically going to happen. And then now we're building some more liquidity right above this first presented. I do think, based on everything that we have so far, maybe this first presented is going to hold price, but we do have some order blocks right here on a 1 minute time frame, so we could see price go a little bit lower, fake more people out. But like I said, right now I haven't really seen anything that's just extremely sexy to me. I would love to take this sale right here, right now, but I just need more confirmation, because it's just too early for me to take a sale right now, even though this is somewhat my strategy. Like, we had a sweep of liquidity, we had a breakaway gap, and then prices continuing to go down. But normally when I'm looking for a breakaway gap, I like to see price try to get up into that gap so I can confirm that gap is going to hold price, because we came too close up here to this liquidity for me to just start believing that the market is just going to magically sell off again. So I'm not falling for that. I'm just going to have to wait for more information. But we did fail to sweep out this liquidity on the 15 minute, and then this 15 minute order block right here is still holding price down. So all of those things are noteworthy for sure. As we pull back right here to see if this breakaway gap is going to remain open, we do have the first presented fair value gap from yesterday to stop it from going up there. So I think a potential sale could be brewing. Even if we do take a sale, we have to be extremely careful, because and I'm not putting this on my chart to call out a trade or anything. I'm just simply trying to see risk to reward ratios. If we come all the way back down here, the risk to reward would be nice, but right here, let's see if this gap stays open. If it don't, then we know that this price is not going to be going down. But if we leave this little gap right here on a 1 minute open, and we start making some moves to the downside, then this could definitely be a potential sell entry right here. And this is what I mostly use first presented fair value gaps for. Because imagine if you don't have this first presented fair value gap on your chart, you're not going to even know. Like, your narrative is going to be a little bit different. It's not that you still can't find a good trade, but you might not be able to build as good of a narrative as you wanted to. Because the way I trade, like right here, as soon as this goes into that fair value gap, then I know sales is off the table. Right? That's how I like read price action. So we kind of like went into it just a little bit. We haven't really well, not really. Technically we didn't. Let me see. The high of this candle is 23960.25 and the high of this candle is 23. Yeah, so we didn't go into it just yet. So, I'd rather be late than early. I used to want to be early, but now I just rather have confirmation that we're actually going down. If I do try to be early, typically what I'll put a very small entry on, so that way if I am right, I can scale into my position a little bit better. But based on how early it is in the day, it's still too early for me to really try to put a position on right now. I still would prefer for us to come up here and sweep this liquidity first before we go to the downside. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for. I do think we're going to come up here and sweep this liquidity. Now, do that mean I'm going to try to take a buy to go up there? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I will. I mean, we do have like all of these little order blocks below the first presented fair value gap, and we have some liquidity down here that we can be attacking. But there's just not enough in there for me. This is only a 30-point move from here to here. I'm not taking that. I just don't got the patience to be trying to, get into a move that's only allowing me to make 30 points. Like right now, we could possibly come down here and sweep these two relative equal lows, but it's just giving fake. It's just giving fake out, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's acting like it want to come do it now, but I think the best thing to do is wait for that liquidity that's at 23,960, 23,964. I think the best thing to do would be for you to wait for that liquidity. That would be the safest thing to do. But we didn't get the retest of this breakaway gap, so it's very tempting for me. I must admit, it's very tempting. Because even if I was to do a little smaller trade, let me see, I'll have my entry will have to be right here. I will probably put my stop loss like right here. and then maybe target these lows. That's only a 1-to-1, so that's not even worth it. So I'm not even taking that. I need at least a 2-to-1. Bare minimum. Right, babe? How you doing over here, my love? How much did you take a loss for? Okay, we talk about it later, all right. Now, if we do come down first, which I don't think we will, if we come down first, that's going to make me feel like we're going to be really bullish on the day. But I would prefer to see us take out this liquidity up top first and then come back to sweep this liquidity and everything that's below it. I think that would be, better price action if we're looking to go down for, have a red day. I got about a little over 1,000 left to complete my phase 1. I'm definitely trying to get it done today if I can. I'm not going to try to force it, but I'm definitely looking forward to being funded again. I want to be more consistent this time around. Want to get more payouts, and so I can make some investments into crypto and go to some seafood boils or whatever else and live my best life out here. So all right, let's see what's going to happen. So far, this little breakaway gap is still open, but the reason why I don't really trust it is because if it's a breakaway gap, it's supposed to be breaking away from price real fast, right? So this makes me not even want to trust this break. When I'm using breakaway gaps, I like to see a sweep of liquidity followed by the breakaway gap and then followed by fast price movement in whatever direction I'm looking for the price to go. So I am not going to be faked out by this right here. This is why it's so important to understand liquidity, because these pink lines on my chart is the liquidity that we're looking to be taken. And it's no way price is going to come all the way up here just to not take this liquidity, right? I mean, it could happen, but I just don't believe it right now. I'll have to see more of a breakdown to the downside to believe that that's going to be the case, right? Because maybe we save it for tomorrow or next week or something like that. So it could happen, but I need to see more data for me to trust it. But so far, we are respecting this first presented fair value gap from yesterday's evening session. And, it's looking like we're going to come down here and sweep these little lows. But now we have to wait again to see how we react when we get down here to this first presented fair value gap, which also have a order block attached to it, right? And whenever you see an order block attached to a fair value gap, that's a really strong pattern. So if we do get this sweep of liquidity, I might be looking to take this buy, like something like this. Let's just say with hypothetical entry. All right, I'll probably just end up using this low maybe to have a better stop, and then also because we had this breakaway gap, so we shouldn't be going all the way down there. So if we get down there, I probably may look for a trade like this right here, which is a 1.5 or 1.45 to 1. Let me see if I lower it a little bit, because I do believe price is going to at least drop down and fake some more people out. So even if I lower it just that much, it turns into a 2.45 to 1 risk to reward. So this could definitely be a trade idea right here that makes more sense, but just want to wait, just being patient. It's only 10:10. You know, we're not trying to predict the future. We're just literally waiting for some type of liquidity to be swept, and then that's when we're going to make our move based on what price action tells us after liquidity has been swept. By the way, you guys, quick announcement. We are on Twitch. We are on Kick as well. Make sure y'all go follow us on Twitch and Kick. We don't go live every day, but we will be trying to go live as much as possible, especially if the market is moving. And also, you can follow me on Instagram at the Trucking Trader. And also, we're on X as well at the Trucking Trader FX, right? So, all right. So let me see. Let me check another time frame. Look like we might be dropping off, so I might just take a little scalp sell. It's kind of sketchy. I really don't. It's like I like it, but I don't like it. You know, it's been moving down, but look how slow it's moving down. You know, I always try to get into the market when it's moving, like actually moving fast. I don't like these slower moves, you know. My whole strategy is centered around avoiding the slow moves so that, you know, I can avoid getting faked out. Melissa says, check the 4-hour time frame. There is a range. It's been around since yesterday. Super crunchy. Yes, she's right. Let me check this 4-hour time frame. Oh, wow. Look at this wick. Whew. I'm glad she said check the 4-hour time frame because this wick is something that we cannot ignore. This wick is something that we cannot ignore. Y'all know I don't ignore wicks. I do not ignore wicks. So this, I'm glad she pointed this out. Let me see where the midpoint of that. Wow, the midpoint of that is literally right around that order block. So that's very good. Shout out to Melissa for calling that out. That was amazing. So now, if we do continue to come down, I might even be more interested in taking a sale now because she called out that wick. So I'm probably going to put a little baby position. And I hope to God I don't get faked out because Lord knows. Yeah, and we haven't had a sweep of liquidity. So I just put one little baby entry on there, only risking $46 just because I need to scratch the itch, you know. And we all know how that feels when, as a trader, when you just need to push the button and just get it over with. But as soon as I push the button, now it's looking like it's ready to stop me out. So this is why I'm glad I didn't really put no real risk on there. This is why waiting for liquidity is always one of the best things you can do. Because when you wait for the liquidity sweeps, you don't have to really worry about getting faked out as much. So I did take a couple more entries. I'm risking probably about $100 total now, I believe it is, to make about, I think it's like $250. If it hits the midpoint of that wick that Melissa called out on a 4-hour time frame. But, you know, it could definitely want to go there after we sweep this liquidity up here too. So if I'm too early, so be it. I'm only risking $100 on this trade idea. If we win, great. If we lose, it'll be all right. I'm not even going to send this trade to my Telegram because this is not a plus type of trade. So I'm not going to send this to my Telegram. I'm only sending the best of the best to Telegram, y'all. So make sure y'all join that Telegram group. It is free for now. I'm going to allow at least 100 people to join for free so that I can build a community, but it will not be free forever, for sure. That's for sure. So we are in some down draw, and this trade definitely looking like we're going to get stopped. So I'm even going to just close the trade early, or maybe I should. No, let me just let it stop me out because I don't want to get faked out and then. Like I said, I'm only risking $100, so all right. And I did get stopped out. Should have stuck to the plan. Should have stuck to the plan. So I am down $106 on a day. So look like we're going to go up here and sweep this liquidity. We did have a small sweep of liquidity right here. Came up, made a little breakaway gap. I might be able to get my 100 back just as fast, but let me try to do a quick risk to reward. See if we get a pullback here. If I put my stop loss right here, and if we target up here, okay, that's a 2.46 to 1 risk to reward, but I'll need a pullback to get into this trade. So hopefully we don't get faked out again. But now it's looking like it's getting ready to hit up there. Like I said, we got a breakaway gap right here. We got a smaller little gap in there. is where I would like to be able to at least get my entry. My stop loss is going to be at the bottom of this breakaway gap to see if we can go up here and sweep some of that liquidity. And that's only because we had this little small sweep of liquidity right here. Small sweep, came up, made a gap. Is it the best? No, it's not the best. I won't be risking that much on this trade either. And I might not even get an entry on this trade. I needed to pull back just a little bit at the bare minimum, touch the top of this first presented fair value gap is what I would like to see. So actually, I'm going to even move my entry like that. That's how the entry should be. Stop loss is going to be pretty tight. I probably could do it like that, loosen it up a little bit, but ultimately, I would prefer my stop loss to be in here if I was going to take a trade like that. All right, so we did not get this. This is not a valid breakaway gap no more, so I don't really want to trust this trade. I did get in, and I am currently floating profits, but I'm about to get ready to close it really fast unless it just rips up higher right now. Because I would have preferred it to had not came down and touched that gap. So it is doing a little stutter step. I'm going to probably just close this trade right here. $46 profit on that trade. Don't really like it. Like I told you guys, my strategy is very simple. Liquidity sweep, breakaway gap. So if we would have, even though we got the first presenting right here, and that can definitely hold price, I just can't trust it. Based on all of the top we have already seen, and it's only 10:23, I think I'll be okay to wait for something else. So, but I did get half of my losses back just that fast. So I'll take that. But, as soon as we touch that breakaway gap or the potential breakaway gap right here, I no longer love that trade. I was able to get some really great entries, but look at it. Look at what it's doing now. This is how you read price action. This is how you read price action. Say, no, let me calm down. Let me calm down, man. But it's true, though. I try to talk about these things, man, but the reality is you're not going to learn this stuff overnight. I've studied ICT concepts for 2 years straight, relentlessly. Back-tested them. Failed a million times over. So, even though I can make a ton of videos the same way ICT did, but you're not going to really learn this stuff until you go into the live markets and practice it yourself and study it yourself. So I'm just here to try to help the best way that I can. And I'm hoping that I'm helping somebody out, because I know I'm not the best teacher. I know I don't have the best equipment for everybody. But I'm really trying my best because I want to see everybody get funded. I want to see everybody make money, The world that we live in now, it's getting tight, as you guys can see, man. Robots are taking our jobs, right? We're not going to really have anything left in the future. Everything costs so much. Rent is expensive, right? if you're a young person watching this, you should be worried. If you at the ages of 18 to 25, you should be extremely concerned about the economy. And as a 31-year-old man, I would tell you, learn how to trade. The earlier the better. I didn't start learning how to trade until I was 25. I didn't come across ICT until like two years ago. I wish I could have learned this stuff when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. Because by the time I turned 31, I think I would have been good. I think I would at least have $250,000 or $500,000. So you want to learn this stuff, man. It's not the easiest stuff to learn, but trust me. So the next thing I'm looking at is, like I said, I'm looking for this liquidity to be swept up here. They're not going to fake me out and act like they don't want to go up there and sweep it. But at this point, I'm not going to take any more trades. I just have to wait for some type of liquidity to be swept, period. There's nothing else for me to do. I don't even like taking the buys off the first presented all the time unless it's like a situation where it just touched the top of the first presented and just blasts off and just never come back. Then I'll trust the first presented. But when it's hanging around the first presented this much, I can no longer trust it. I can only use it to read price action. That's it. That's it. The breakaway gap is the one thing that I trust. But the tricky thing about the breakaway gap is that you have to make sure that it's a breakaway gap, because sometimes they create these fake breakaway gaps, like how it did right here. When it created this breakaway gap, I mean, yeah, it gave you a little opportunity to sell. What's that though? That's 30 points. I mean, that's not enough to make me happy. And the most you can get was 30 points. So that means you probably wasn't even gonna get 30. And then what happened? We came right back up here to sweep this liquidity. So you got to be aware of those fake out breakaway gaps as well. This is why I always tell people, understanding liquidity is one of the best things you can do if you're using ICT concepts. Because once you figure out where the liquidity is, from there, all you have to do is be patient. The reason why so many people fail is because they rely on order blocks and fair value gaps a little bit too much. If you go to his playlist, his market, I think it was called the Market Maker Primer list, playlist or something like that. The first thing he talks about is what? Liquidity. So even though I have my stop loss right down here, so this trade would have definitely, it's looking like it's going to play out, but it's not clean enough for me to have wanted to hold that. It's a little bit too risky for me. So I got out. Made back half of my losses. Only down about $50 on the day, right? Because the other thing is managing your risk to reward. I got a 50K prop firm account. When I'm sketchy about the trade, I'm only risking $100. When I'm confident, I may set my risk up to maybe $500 to $800. But yeah, risk to reward is extremely important. We got he said, I'm a truck driver at 23 and trucking is good, but for the pay inflation rate ain't it? Yeah. Yeah, man. Listen, I love trucking, bro. Trucking rescued me. I was broke, I was down, I was housekeeping, I was scrubbing toilets. And then trucking, I got my CDL license, and that allowed me to be able to learn trading. Because I ain't have the money to pay for no mentorships. I didn't know about ICT or anything like that in 2019. I didn't know. So trucking literally saved my life. I love trucking, but do I want to do this forever? No, I don't. It's hard work. Truck drivers, we're working 12, 13-hour days every time we're out. And that's not even including the loading, waiting to be loaded, waiting to get unloaded, and all that other stuff. Most days I drive for 11 hours a day. So as we come up here, you guys, to take this liquidity, maybe I should have held my trade, but I'm not. I'm not really mad. It was a little bit too choppy for me. I wasn't going to sit through all of that chop. I'm not the sit through the chop type of guy no more. I'm trying to retire that way of trading. But yeah, man, like I was saying, bro, like I love trucking, but it's just everything is going downhill, man. It's not even just the trucking industry, bro, but most career industries or most careers are going downhill, man. And you got to think 10, 20, 30 years from now, like they want everything to be autonomous. They want robots to do everything. So, dang, maybe I should have stayed in this trade, man, because it's going up. But let's see, though. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. So far, it's looking like we might be taking buys, and here's why. Because on the 5-minute time frame, this gap right here is starting to look more and more like a breakaway gap. Right? We had a sweep of liquidity, breakaway gap. It's been tested a couple times. Now that we're sweeping liquidity, and we're sweeping liquidity and we're not getting an immediate retracement on a 1-minute time frame, it's looking like we're just going to keep going up and possibly take out these daily highs up here. So now that we have figured out which way the market really wants to go, I mean, I know it's probably obvious for some of you guys, but I really be needing to wait for confirmation. So now that we have figured that out, at least we think we have, because the market could easily just drop off from right up here as well. Now the next thing to do is try to figure out how to get into the market. Okay, so what I do is I use like the 1-minute time frame. I'll drop it down to like the 2-minute time frame. As you can see, the 2-minute look much cleaner. The 2-minute look much cleaner right here. We got these 3 little order blocks right here. Let me see, measure out this range right here. That's looking really good. I'm going to remove this orange box off of my chart. I'm going to remove this liquidity off of my chart. Don't really need that on there anymore. Move this one up here. This could be a potential entry right here. But what I would even like to see more than that, more than this order block, I would love to see this gap right here stay open for sure. At least this gap. But if this gap stayed open too, then I would know that now it's time to take these buys and get into this market and start to fly up, right? But at least we want to see this gap right here stay open. Then I will be ready to take this buy, right? If we can get a nice little retracement in here. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Probably going to be calling out a buy real soon. So I just sent a message to my Telegram group, letting them know that, hey, you guys, I might be calling out this buy soon. Be ready. Um, Still want to be patient. Let me just double check the 30-minute time frame. Because if we didn't go up there and reach into that, it's gonna be still okay. We touched the lower quadrant of this gap, and then on the 30-minute time frame too, look like we got another breakaway gap all the way down here. So let's see. So yeah, definitely looking for the market to continue to the upside, but I still want to be patient because we have that 4-hour wick that could easily pull price back down. Like I said, it's all about understanding liquidity, and we know that right down here we have these relative equal lows down here. Price could want to save these levels for later, but just have to wait. This is one big waiting game, man. This is why patience is a virtue, especially when you come to trading. But I could have made decent little profits if I stayed inside that trade I was in earlier, but I just didn't like it after it broke away from that after it invalidated that breakaway gap. Wow, babe, did you see those Broncos up there? Do you like those? I like them too. Those like tires are huge. I like the different color tires that they got on those Broncos up front too. That's very nice. That's very cool. Yeah, me too. Oh, you're right. Both of those up there might be Jeeps. I like the Bronco one better though for some reason. I didn't even peep the yellow one. That is nice. high. We got our breakaway gaps. Just wanted a little bit more of a pullback because the midpoint of that daily, the midpoint of that daily wick is just right here. I don't know if we're gonna blast through that or keep going or for rejection. But if I can take a potential buy coming up, so I definitely will. You know, I want to see this little bit of liquidity right here be swept. Maybe if we touch the top of this 830 gap, that could be a potential. The trade will look something like this. I would just target the midpoint of the gap. That's almost a little bit over 201, so that would be good enough for me. I'll be happy with that. Oh, Saito King said, I'll get you in the next slide, bro. Fire session. And thank you, man. I'm glad to see some new faces around here, bro. Definitely look forward to having you around more often, man, for sure. Now, if I'm butchering your name, forgive me, bro. Melissa, you are my girlfriend. What are you saying? You want to hear yourself on the mic? Well, if you want to come up, if you want to come up and talk to the people, feel free to share your analysis. Feel free to come up and share your analysis. Okay, I'm going to step out of her way. Okay, she says never mind, she's not coming. Maybe are you just saying hi?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm just here to give some consolation to the traders who took a L today, like me. It's okay. We'll make it back. And good trading wishes to all of you.
Oh, thank you, baby. I hope y'all enjoyed that. My girlfriend, she says she's here to give y'all some love if you're taking the L today. We have only played 2 trades, one for $100 loss, the other was a $50 gain. So we're only down like a little bit today. I'm just trying to wait to make sure I'm not being faked out. If we get up here to the midpoint of this daily wick, think, you know, either A, we're going to keep going and power through, or B, we might see a rejection. So it's just a lot going on. I just need price to really show me what it wants to do. Even now, yes, we have uptrended significantly, all of this in which I missed. But, you know, I don't know. Could we keep going? Yeah, we probably can keep going. I mean, the 5 minute, we got a breakaway gap on a 5 minute. Um, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. We can go up here, hit the midpoint of this daily, come back, pull all the way back down, and then go up again. So I don't really know. But what we do know is that we're not trying to sell, right? We had this big 830 gap. If we were going to be selling, the price would have respected this gap and kept going lower. So I'm definitely looking for a buy. I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting in at the right time. And have a good report on my trade. That's all I'm doing. I was in the buy earlier, right up here, on my floor right here. And like that, can't keep every day. So I'll put together the day with tail hours. I already said that you can still try to buy it, but it's not going to be anything. So have to get right and take the yeah, we're going to possibly drop this first percent. Just trying to get the entry. I can't see anywhere. I think we're going to show up here, and I might even be able to get in right here because it might be creating another big pick over here. It's hard for me to trust me here now. We have already moved up so much, but I just pretty good price. We have this one looks like they want to play out. There's a small little gap here that could want to stay open, but hard for me to want to trust this here. Or this is some type of a pullback, but at this point, let's just wait and be patient. It's too easy to get frustrated because you miss so many different trades, and now you want to just go there and push the button. As soon as you take the buy here, it's gonna keep going. That's when it stops making points, and then you play your fun.